As part of Crud operations in JSP, in this session we will learn how to perform update and delete data from the database table using Servlet and JSP. Then open MySQL Workbench to create a table. So already in the previous sessions we created a table in the name student with three columns: student ID, name and CGPA, and some records inserted into the table by using the insert operation. So this is the table available in my database KLU. Table name is student. It has three columns: student ID, name and CGPA. I execute the select query. It retrieves data from the table. So as of now the table has three students information. Then open a Red Hat Code Ready Studio. Open the existing project which we created in the last session. In that project we created two packages, com.controller and com.model. The model package has your business logic and the entity class student. And the controller package has the servlet to interact with the business logic and user interface design. In part of view, we created three JSP file. Index.jsp will act like a dashboard, and add new.jsp. We collected information from the user and insert those informations into the database table student. And view data.jsp retrieves use it to retrieve data from the database table and represent the data in the form of table here. Next, we are going to perform the update and delete operations. To perform update and delete operation, open index.jsp. There we already created hyperlink to perform insert operation. Now I am going to create a new hyperlink for update operation. The hyperlink is created for update student details. So whenever user click on this hyperlink, it opens the file update data.jsp. Next step, we need to create a JSP file in the name update data. So save the file index.jsp, create another JSP file in the same directory WebApp, right click on the directory WebApp, go to the option new and choose JSP file and name the JSP file as update data. So this is the default code content available in the newly created update data.jsp file. So just I'm changing the title as update data. In the body section, I'm placing the header as update student details. Next, create a form tag to get input from user. So place three controls to get input from user: student ID, name and CGPA. So that we can get from the file add new.jsp. Just open the file add new.jsp. There already we created a form tag with three controls: student ID, name and CGPA, and one button control to perform insert operation. I just copy the code from add new.jsp, then close the file add new.jsp, paste it in the file update data.jsp. So and change the caption on the button control as update. Next, these form tag, whenever user click on the button update, it submit the data to the controller add data. So change the controller as update data. So then save. Create a new servlet in the package com.controller to perform update operation. Right click on the package com.controller, go to the option new, then choose the option servlet to create a new servlet on that. The servlet name is update data. Then finish. So it creates a new servlet in the package com.controller. Then open the file update data.java. This is the default code available in the file update data.java. Just removing the comment lines and the constructor and the default statement of do get method, and remove the default statement in the do post method. Now the controller is ready to interact with business logic and user interface design update data.jsp. Next we need to write a logic to perform update operation. So open the file student manager.java. There already we created two methods for retrieve data from the database table and insert record into the database table. In addition to that, I am going to create another method to perform update operation. So method is created in the name update data. It takes parameter as an object of the entity class student and it returns acknowledgement in the form of string. So then initialize the connection object. Driver manager get connection and pass the three instance variable as a parameter URL, database username and database password. Then initialize the preferred statement object ps equal to connection dot call the method prepare statement. Here we can write a query to perform update operation. The query to perform update operation is update table name student, set the name field of a student, comma CGPA, where condition is student ID equal to some value. So this is the parameterized query to perform update operation in the table student. So it updates the field name and CGPA based on the student ID. So these should be matched with the database table column name. In database table, the table has three columns: student ID, name and CGPA. Now we are going to modify the value available in the column name and CGPA based on the student ID. Then set the parameterized variable values by using the object of ps dot, call the method set string. The parameter sequence number 1 value from the object s dot get name of the student and ps dot call the method set double and set the parameter sequence number 2 value from the object s dot get CGPA, and the third parameter by using the method setInt parameter sequence number 3 value from the object s dot get student ID. So in the parameterized update query, this is the first parameter and second parameter and third parameter. Now I set value for the first parameter, that means name. Name is declared in the form of string, so that I am using the method set string. This is the sequence parameter sequence number 1 that will be assigned based on the value available in the object s.getName. And second parameter is CGPA. CGPA is declared as double, so I am using set double method to set value for the second parameter. And the third parameter is student ID. Student ID is declared as integer, so I am using setInt method to set value for third parameter. Next, call the method execute to execute the update query. and then close the connection and send acknowledgement. The data updated successfully. Then save the logic, close the file studentmanager.java. Next open update data.java, that is our servlet to perform update operation. In doGet method, set response object dot set content as text HTML. Then create object for print writer class and initialize the object by using the response object with the method get writer. Next create a try catch block to handle the exception. Inside the try block, create object for the class student manager and student. So then set value for the object student based on the input uh, available in the request parameter. So create three instance variable int student ID. So get value from the request parameter using the method get parameter. It retrieve value from the control SID. So this is the control we placed in the update data.jsp file. So in update data.jsp file, we placed three controls to get student ID, name and CGPA. So the control named as SID for get student ID and SName for student name and SCGPA for CGPA. So in update data.java file, I try to retrieve the value from the control SID. So the method get parameter returns a value in the form of string. Now we need to convert it into an integer. So use the class integer and call the method parseInt and place the statement request.getParameter to the parseInt method. So now the request.getParameter retrieves the value from the control SID. The integer.parseInt method converts that value in the form of integer, then assigns those value to the temporary variable SID and process another input string SName, that means student name. It is from the request parameter dot get parameter method. The control name SName. So no need to convert. By default, the name field set as a varchar. So the request.get parameter returns the value in the form of string that will be assigned to the temporary variable SName. Next, create another instance variable for the data type double, that is SCGPA. So it needs a conversion. So use the class double and call the method parse double and place the statement request dot get parameter and retrieve value from the control SCGPA. So then assign the value from the local variable SID, SName and SCGPA to the entity class object student. So s dot call the method set student id the value from the local variable sid. So we should pass the local variable sid as a parameter to the method set student id. Next, s dot set name of the student based on the value available in the local variable s name, and s dot set cgpa from the local variable scgpa. Then create another local variable for get acknowledgement from the method sm dot update data. So in the class student manager, we created a method in the name update data to perform update operation. That method takes the object of s as a parameter and perform update operation. Finally, it returns an acknowledgement that will be stored in the temporary variable ack. Then we can write a response to the web page by using the object of print writer class and call the method print and pass the acknowledgement as a response from the servlet. If any error occurred while executing this process, that will be handled by the catch block. So in catch block, use the object pw and write response e dot get message. So e is an object of the exception class. The get message returns the error message in the form of string that will be returned as a response from this servlet. Then save. So next, at the end of the catch block, to get response in the same web page update data, create object for request dispatcher and initialize the request dispatcher using the request object dot get request dispatcher method. Here we need to mention the destination JSP file where the response return backs to. So I would like to get response in the same JSP file update data.jsp. So this is my destination file where the response return backs from this servlet. And by using the object of request dispatcher and call the method include, it takes the parameter of request and response from the toGet method. So save. Now we can deploy the project and test the update operation. So right click on the project root directory, go to the option run as, run on server, finish. Once the project is deployed, it opens by default index.jsp. There we placed a hyperlink control to perform update operation. So click on the link update student details. It opens the page update data.jsp. There we placed three controls to get student ID, student name and CGPA. In the database table, we have three records of the student. Now I'm going to modify the name of the student whose student ID is 1002. So the student ID is 1002. I wish to change the student name as KPN and CGPA 7.9. Then click on update button. It calls the servlet update data with the value of student ID 1002 and student name and CGPA. So we got response from the servlet update data. Data updated successfully. So we can verify the same in the database table. So before updating the information available in the table for the student ID 1002, name is Y and CGPA 8.6. Now we execute the select query one more time. Now the changes are updated in the database table. The name and CGPA has been updated for the student ID 1002. So next, the same procedure we follow to perform delete operation. in index.jsp. So start from index.jsp. Create another hyperlink for delete operation. So okay, the new hyperlink is created to perform delete operation. Now we can preview the index.jsp file. This is the new hyperlink we placed to perform delete operation. If user click on this link, it opens the file delete data.jsp. So next step, we need to create a file in the name delete data.jsp. So create a new JSP file in the directory WebApp. Right click on it, go to the option new. There you can find JSP file and name the JSP file as delete data. Then finish. It creates a new JSP file in the name delete data. This is the default content available on that. Just change the title as delete data. In the body section, place a head h3 tag. So set title as delete student details and place a form control. So here I just place only one text control to get student ID for delete operation. Then place a button control to submit the form data to the servlet. So in the form action, I wish to call the servlet delete data by using the method equal to get. So next we need to create a servlet in the name delete data. Create a servlet in the package com.controller. Go to the option new servlet and the class name of the servlet is delete data. Then finish. It creates a servlet in the name delete data in the package com.controller. So this is the default code available in the file delete data.java. So just remove the comment lines and constructor default statement in the method do get and do post. So next we need to write a logic to perform delete operation in the model class student manager.java. So open the file student manager.java. This file has three methods. One is for retrieving data and another one for inserting data and another method for updating data. In addition to that, I'm going to create another method delete data. So it takes a string parameter student ID. So the basic operations establish connection to the database. So initialize the connection object con equal to by using the driver manager class and call the method get connection and pass three parameters connection URL, database username and database password. Then initialize the preferred statement object ps equal to connection object dot call the method preferred statement. Here we can write a query to perform delete operation. query to delete a record from the table. Delete from table name student, where student id equal to the parameter variable value. So this is the parameterized query to perform delete operation from the table student. So now we are going to perform the delete operation based on the student id. Next, set parameters by using the object ps. Call the method setInt. The query has only one parameter, that is student id. Student id is declared as an integer in the database table. So this is the sequence number 1. Value for this student id is the parameter variable sid. So change the data type of the parameter variable sid integer. So next, call the method execute to execute the query. So this method executes the query delete from student, where student id equal to based on the value available in the parameter variable sid. Then close the connection and return a response. So then save. So this is the logic to perform delete operation. Next, close the file student manager.java. Open delete data.java controller file. In the doGet method, set content type for the response object by using the set content method. Content type is text HTML. Then create object for the class print writer and initialize by using the response object dot get writer method, and create try catch block to handle the exception. So then create object for the class student manager. Then process the input from the request object. In the file delete data.jsp, we have only one text control to get student id from the user. Then the user click on the button delete, it submits the data to the servlet delete data by using method get. So in the file delete data.java, we need to process the input from the request object. Sid equal to request dot get parameter, get value from the control sid. So this method returns a string value. We need to convert it into an integer. So use the class name integer and call the method parseInt and place the statement request dot get parameter into the parseInt method. So next, we can call the method by using the object of student manager to create a temporary variable to get response from the method. String acknowledgement equal to the object of student manager class, and call the method which we created in the student manager to perform delete operation. So delete data and pass the value of sid as a parameter to the method. Then write a response by using the print writer object, print method, and pass the acknowledgement written from the method delete data as a response from this servlet. If any error occurred in the try block, that will be handled by the catch. So use the statement ew.print and call the method e.getMessage. So E is an object of exception class. The getMessage method returns the error message in the form of string as a response. Okay, save. Then deploy and test the delete operation. Once it is deployed, it opens index.jsp file. So now the hyperlink delete student details is created to perform delete operation. Click on the link delete student. It open the file delete data.jsp. So there we placed a text control to get student ID. So in the database table, we have three records. Now I'm going to delete the student ID 1003. So my input is 1003. There is a button control to submit this form data to the servlet delete data. So click on the button delete. It calls the servlet delete data with the student ID value is 1003. So we got response from the servlet delete data deleted successfully. So now the response will be written in a new web page. If you want to get response to the same web page, at the end of the doGet method, request dispatcher, initialize the object using the request parameter object and call the method get request dispatcher to get response to the web page delete data.jsp. Then by using the object of request dispatcher and call the method include. So now the response return back to the same web page delete data.jsp. So it opens the index.jsp, then click on delete student details. Before we already deleted student record number 1003. If you execute the query select star from table, the record 1003 has been removed. Now the table has only two records 1001 and 1002. Now I try to delete the record 1002. So my student ID for delete operation is 1002. Next click on delete. We will get response in the same web page. Data deleted successfully. The student ID is 1002. Now we can test the same in the database table. Execute the select query. It retrieves data from the table. Now the table has only one record.